Today, superstar outfielder and Mets target Juan Soto sits down with the Boston Red Sox as the sweepstakes rolls on. We break that down and see what we can learn about what's going through Soto's mind. Plus, we have a Jett WIlliams injury update on this special edition of Mets Digest. What is going on, everybody? Flobo Boyce here with you, just perusing the hot stove, the silly season, whatever you want to call it, because it always feels that something is happening when it comes down to rumors, innuendo, and all that involving the Mets and their 2025 push for greatness. Hopefully, mostly it's positive. But before we get into today's story, it's got to say real quick, thank you so much for listening to the channel. Like the video, subscribe to the video channel, and share the video with your friends. Make sure when new episodes drop, you're in the know. Yeah, let's get into it. Juan Soto, man, I feel like if you're sick of him, tough. You're going to get updates about Mr. Soto until he decides to sign with the team. Over the past couple of weeks, we had a bigger idea of what was going to be in the Juan Soto sweepstakes, which teams were going to be involved. The Mets, the Yankees, of course, they had the big budgets. The Dodgers were in for a bit, but that Jeff Passanbaum over the past couple of days basically said the Dodgers were lying in wait, but they're not going to do a full-on push. The Blue Jays, that was kind of on the fence with me, but hey, look, they're also trying to do things. But the Boston Red Sox, to me at least, seem a bit the outlier. Here's the Boston Red Sox team a season ago, say they're going to go full throttle, baseball to the wall, to the great land, to the promised land, and just was not their season. So for them trying to reload in the Juan Soto sweepstakes, to me, was a bit interesting. But that said, this week, Scott Boras set up shop in his Newport Beach, California office, where the Boston Red Sox and many teams would be heading out to California to give their pitch. The Boston Red Sox had their informational pitch, so not really terms to discuss, more of the philosophical things that the Bo Sox want to accomplish in the upcoming season. This comes from Mass Live, which is the most shared source on the subject about what went down in that actual meeting that was Thursday afternoon in Newport Beach, California. Sean McAdam writes, Soto was said to be impressed by the Red Sox presentation, which included a video taking note of the franchise's history of star players from the Dominican Republic, Soto's native country. By the way, about 20 years ago, the Red Sox pretty much were a household name, maybe despite of or because of the Yankees' very, very high brand recognition in La República Dominicana. The Red Sox laid out their plans for the future and highlighted the crop of the soon-to-be arriving top prospects while giving a detailed outline of ownership and Fenway Sports Group. Okay, makes sense. Not only be trying to sign you, more things are coming. In turn, Soto wanted to know more about the team's commitment to winning, player evaluation methods, and Fenway Park in its facilities. I think that's really important there. Look, I get it. If it is a good sign when you have someone ask questions in a meeting, usually if you're bored out of your mind or you're not interested or just making sure you're being polite, you won't have any questions, right? But Soto's questioning about what the Red Sox want to do this season as well as future seasons is a lot about what Juan wants to accomplish. Juan Soto is really a world champion as of now. I mean, but the idea is you don't want to just win one if you won one so early in career. You want to win multiple. And again, he was watching the Boston Red Sox like how we were watching the Boston Red Sox not achieve to the level they thought they would. So the idea from him I can definitely see is, yeah, you signed me, great. I'm going to give you runs. I pushed the team to the World Series, and this time I'm referring to the New York Yankees. Let's be real. Severino Newball only had one or two hitters. That second hitter usually rotated in and out, but Juan Soto was in that equation. Can you build something sustainable long term? And so that to me was interesting. A lot of people basically have joked or amused that, oh man, that means the Red Sox are out of the deal if someone's asking about the winning thing. But for me also, on the other side about the facility situation, Fenway Park is a beautiful stadium, beautiful park, but the facilities are a little bit on the older side. And then wondering if you're in the younger generation about what if you want the top of the line state-of-the-art equipment or anything like that. Probably a moot point, but the idea of playing in Boston and that grandstand, that classic park maybe appeal to some. So when that broke about a day ago, the world was abuzz. The Red Sox went from being, interesting to, hey, they may actually push this if we put two and two together. But the more I got on the side of maybe Boston has a legitimate chance was recently where Dave Ortiz spoke with Odyssey, WEEI, about the very nature of the subject. Big Papi and Juan Soto are besties, give or take. They work together, they chat together. They are basically extended family. And Dave Ortiz had his take on the situation. Again, this one comes from Rod Branford, who transcribed this with an interview over at WEEI Boston via Odyssey. Short, the 26-year-old grew up a longtime Red Sox fan. That's Juan Soto, by the way. Juan Soto grew up a Red Sox fan. A notion the Sox were fully aware of. But Ortiz knows reeling in Soto is going to be no easy task. Again, not just because of the things that we discussed before, the facilities, the commitment to winning, the standings, all that stuff. Quote, Papi says, "I'm telling you, we would have Manny and Papi for the left side," which is a very, very high praise. Ortiz said of the idea of Soto and current Red Sox third baseman Rafael Devers. Quote, "If there was one player in baseball who could be the next David Ortiz in Boston, it is Juan Soto. He's that good. He's got a great makeup." Now, I agree. And I thought about that too, about the idea of franchise players and encompassing a city. We see that with Bryce Harper in Philadelphia, Francisco Lindor in Queens. Soto must know on some level that if he comes to any of those teams, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets, he may not be the number one as far as like brand recognition or exemplifying the spirit of the team. He may produce on top, but that's something that matters to an athlete, wanting to be the face of a town, the grit. When people cheer your name like you are synonymous with the streets of Boston, that may be a bit of an appeal that other teams don't have. I mean, even in Toronto, if you're a Bo Bichette fan or a Vladdy Guerrero fan, until they move, it's really their team as well. So that's something I had to consider when you think about the Juan Soto sweepstakes. Not saying that the Red Sox are going to sign, because there's always going to be somebody in the chat being like, "You're clickbaiting." I'm breaking down the meeting. With no financial terms discussed, we don't really know what the starting price, what the offering price is. But the Mets really do have an opportunity here if he's asking about the player development, if he's asking about the facilities. The front office over here in Queens have been grown by leaps and bounds to really add some of the technology and the adherence to stats and numbers over the past 5 years. Something I haven't seen at quite this speed. I do think we are in a better spot, maybe even more so than the Bronx at this point, if we were to do the formal push. But you let me know in the comments below. We talked about Juan Soto being on the team plenty of times in this channel, but on your scale of 1 to 10, the odds that Juan will sign with Boston, let me know you think it's going to be a lock. That's a 10. If you think it's going to be no chance in heck, that's a 1. I'm really curious to see what you think when it comes to that. Before we get out of here today, let's talk about down on the farm. Jett WIlliams on Thursday night suffered a minor ankle injury. Now, Jett is a number 2 prospect of the Mets organization. Really a talk about either being promoted to the show in next season or being part of a trade package for other talent, because as the New York Post had reported, the development of the prospects over New York were great, but not as nearly as close as they would like to at this juncture. So they have a lot of questions about whether or not they want to blow that up or add pieces or really promote to the show. This one comes from ESPN.com with detailed Williams' injury he suffered in the Arizona Fall League Thursday night. New York Mets prospect Jett WIlliams injured his ankle running into the outfield wall in the Arizona Fall League's regular season finale on Thursday. Mets officials are optimistic that their number 2 ranked prospect sprained right ankle won't have a significant impact on the offseason, according to MLB.com. WIlliams, 21 years old, and again, that's to reiterate, the number 2 prospect in the Mets organization, is a shortstop and outfielder currently playing with the AFL's Scottsdale Scorpions. The number 14 pick in the 2022 draft is batting .225 with 2 homers, 9 RBIs, and 7 steals and 21 games this fall. Decent numbers, but nothing that's going to blow the doors off anything. And I mentioned this not to bury a guy who suffered an injury, but talking about what we have on the farm between Mauricio, between Acuna. If we're willing to get some of these free agents out there, we're talking about Fried, we're talking about Crochet, we're talking about Juan Soto. Well, not Juan Soto, he's going to be directly signed, but you know what I'm saying. If you have these ideas to use this in trade packages, would you use them? Would you try to build on what you have? Are you bearish on our farm? Are you bullish on the prospects we have right now? That's something I also want your thoughts on. But Jett, being number 2 in the organization pretty much will feature him at some point during the 2025 season. I can't wait to see how he adjusts to the big leagues because, like David Stearns had said, though, above all, he is committed, besides getting free agents, besides investing on the front office, besides investing in technologies, but he is committed in letting the kids play, letting some of our homegrown talent or acquired minor league talent who happens to be young, if you want to be technical about it, time with the first team is super important. Acuna adjusted himself pretty well this season when Francisco Lindor went down with that back injury, and if that's going to be the new philosophy, and if people played or able to contribute on the level that Acuna did with such a short runway, then the future may be bright after all. That is it for me on this edition of Mets Digest. Hey, let me know what you think in the comments below. The Boston Red Sox have a good chance of signing Juan Soto. You let me know if you agree or disagree with that statement. And Jett WIlliams going to recover soon after injuring his ankle. But what does that mean for the farm this season and beyond? I can't wait to read your thoughts. This is it for me, Flobo Boyce, Mets Digest. Catch you guys later. And of course, until next time, it's LGM to the bitter end.